Ndinoda kuti nyika iziwe vanhu vangu inguva yedu hatingatadzi kubudirira Mwari ari parutivi pedu rambai muchirwa My hitters gon' don't die, the real hitters gon' shine and my people gon' rise Cause we're born to win, yeah, I ain't saying but I'm saying Loyalty's my favorite characteristic of God, but finding it in it is hard. It's like trying to find God. You're the only one in your camp with cheese. You pay for everything they eat. Man, that insecurity is deep. Now I ain't said no names. These are just theories. If you hear me, baby, it's home. You must admit it's kinda eerie, baby. Like them chemtrails in the sky. Hate the selling the slaves, kinda like the combines. We say everything in moderation, but don't do it in moderation. The lies of a gluttonous generation. 10-year-old girl.
Grand Rising, everybody. Welcome to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. I want to welcome you to this fabulous Friday, first Friday in September. Got a great show for you guys because I get to do a deep dive with my girl, Cynthia Brothers from Vanishing, Seattle. She is in the building. We're going to be talking about the things that maybe have vanished, some things that are staying, and she'll give us some good scoop on what's going out there in the city. So I'm really excited that she's in the building. But of course, it's the top of the show, so it's a great time for you to tag and share the stream. Go ahead and tag and share the stream with folks you feel could benefit from a daily dose of dopeness right here on the Day with Trae. If you can't watch us, don't worry. You can listen to us anywhere you find your favorite podcast. Just search Converge Media Network and the Day with Trae. You guys will find me there. Google, Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, you name it. We're on all of the platforms. I want to give a huge shout out to everybody who's been a guest on the Day with Trae this week. It's been a great week, kind of coming back from celebrating my dad's life, and I just appreciate all the love that's been pouring in throughout this week. And it's a great way to bring in the month of September. I saw a little bit of rain this morning, but I think the sun is speaking through the clouds, so I'm glad that that's happening. Also, you guys heard a deep message yesterday on the Commercial Tenant Improvement Fund. We are keeping this message alive because we want you guys to apply. You can apply for up to $100,000. The Office of Economic Development has invested $1.9 million into this fund. And they said, look, if you're a new business, if you're an existing business, if you're looking to occupy commercial space or already have commercial space, there's a wide range of ways that you can utilize these funds. So make sure you guys go there before the deadline coming up next week, September 8th. Go there, check out the application. They've made it rather accessible. They also have information if you need help with the application. So make sure you guys are checking that out. And of course, this weekend, looks like it's coming up tomorrow, Pure Sounds in the building. Converge will be on site. Myself, Basa Gordon, and G Prez will all be present for this amazing free concert Friends of Waterfront is putting on with Pure Sounds. Love that I'll get to see Shayna Shepherd on stage doing her thing, my girl. So I'm so excited that they have included the Converge family there. This partnership with Friends of Waterfront has been very fruitful. We thank all of y'all over there at the Friends of Waterfront for understanding that, hey, Converge is a great partner when it comes to making sure we can showcase all the great things that are going on there. So I'm so glad I'll be in the building with my fam. Of course, you guys, I want to dive in right now with Miss Cynthia Brothers because almost always there's so much to talk about and we have so little time. So I'm so glad she's here. We're going to get right into it right now. Cynthia Brothers is in the studio with me on my couch. What's up, Cindy, bro? How are you?
Trae, so good to see you again.
You too. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's a nice, cool Friday. But I'm like, let's start the month off with what's going on in the city. Tell us about some of the things that you know and are hearing about out there.
Yeah, so I'd love to share a couple of places that have unfortunately recently vanished. The first I'll talk about is a place in Ballard, a longstanding Chinese-American restaurant and lounge called Golden City. It opened in 1988, and it's kind of affectionately called Golden Shitty because, it's kind of, older and kind of divey and run down. And I personally have a real soft spot for, your classic Chinese-American lounge. I mean, all the hallmarks of a great dive bar, cheap, stiff drinks, really colorful cast of characters and regulars, super friendly people. So yeah, it's been described as like one of Ballard's last true dive bars, and I got to it just closed last week, I believe, and I went and stopped by a few days before that, and it did not disappoint. I think someone randomly just like invited me to a cookout within a couple minutes of talking to them. So yeah, really friendly, awesome folks. I know people are sad to see it go. Apparently, they wanted to extend a 5-year lease, and the landlord only offered them 1 year, so they're just going to have to close. And I think there's about 10 people that work at Golden City, some of them for 30 or more years. And I guess they're going to be out of a job after this. But a spot that a lot of people have memories of, hazy memories. So that's kind of a old Seattle classic that's gone away.
There it is once again. And it's interesting because every time you're on, we hear a recurring theme here, around the landlord, right, of these spaces. It's like, do they not understand the heart? Because you can't really, you can get a new space in there, but you can't replace like what people are used to. And there's something so special about that when we think about what makes cities eclectic. What's the next space you have coming up?
Yeah, so the next spot is in Belltown, and it was recently demolished. It's the IBU Local 46 Union Hall, which is the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. This was built in 1949, I believe, and it was their headquarters. Although, folks may know that Seattle has long been a stronghold of the labor movement and labor history, especially post-World War, around the turn of in like the 40s. And the IBU history, the local chapter, actually goes back to 1901 when it was founded. So just a big union hall, a lot of meetings, a lot of worker solidarity. They moved their headquarters to Kent in 2004, and then it was occupied by a church, or bought by a church formerly called City Church, and then Church Home. And also in 2001, the Vera Project, they got their start there, the nonprofit all ages organization. And they put on shows there, a lot of legendary shows from about 2001 to 2002 in the basement. And they were very active in overturning the teen dance ordinance. And putting on those shows and kind of building that youth movement, and being able to do so in that space was really, integral to that. So basically, that was demolished, I think, in late July. And there's something interesting about landmarking that churches in the state of Washington, they have to provide their consent to get a landmark. So a lot of times you'll see churches will get a demolition permit, and then they'll sell it to a developer, because the minute it goes into non-religious entities' hands, someone can file for a landmark application. So that's kind of like like a loophole or a way to get around that. So when I posted about this, just got a ton of comments, both from music fans and folks who've been to shows there, but also people who worship there and, found community, and people who've also been to labor organizing and labor meetings. And so supposedly that's going to become a 15-story luxury tower. So just to kind of see the way that this kind of moves through and corresponds with the history of Seattle. So kind of a bummer.
Well, another luxury tower, this is something for me where I'm just like, really, I don't know how many of those we need in the city. We are talking about affordability in the city, and that being a major space could have been utilized for so many different things. And I'm sure many of us Seattleites could see something very different in that space. And also too, like I just was saying, you can't replace certain things. There's culture and vibrancy, and you're talking about this real sense of community. And the one thing that we see with a lot of these high-rise buildings and things like that, they don't build a sense of community. They just don't. I've talked to residents inside of these spaces. They're like, you know what, we all have these luxury units, but we don't know our neighbors like that. There's no connection to the people that are in this building. Maybe there's some relationship with some of the staff if they're working with, lobby folks and they have to, get certain packages delivered. Maybe there's some communication there, but it's minimal compared to what I think a lot of our are more historic spaces provided. That
Yeah.
loss is serious to the city, Cynthia.
Yeah, I think it's a really unfortunate case where this is a space that could have and probably should have been landmarked, and it could have been repurposed, continued as community use. You also see landmark buildings that also serve multiple functions, that they're housing as well as community gathering places and centers. So it's kind of, I mean, it just seems like there's a lot of history lost there, but also an opportunity for it to continue to function as a community space that was lost as well.
Yeah, that's a double loss right there. Well, up next, I see we have Kid Valley on the list here. This is one of my childhood favorites. What's going on with that?
Yeah, I mean, this is a local classic. I was surprised to learn that for some reason I thought the Kid Valley that's close to kind of Woodland Park, Green Lake area was the first one, but this one in the kind of up from U Village is actually the first one. That really small one. It was founded in 1976, I believe. The building goes back to the 30s. It was a gas station, and then it was a Dairy Delight. I mean, I think a lot of people have memories of Kid Valley. I personally love their onion rings and their fried mushrooms. This was just this, again, a spot where a lot of people have, memories of just going with family or friends. A lot of, UW students went there. They were, I think from their official announcement, they did get bought out by Ivers, I think, in the late 80s, and they didn't seem like they changed a whole lot. But they're saying that this location would have required a rebuild or a remodel, and it wasn't something that was feasible for them. So, but luckily there's still other locations in Green Lake and Kenmore and in the stadiums, so people can still get their Kid Valley fix. And the history of the logo, the Burger Babe, which is no longer around, is very interesting. I did some digging around that, and that when they had the Burger Babe sign, they were in the process of switching that out in the 90s because it became a little controversial. And someone actually stole that sign that was in the university location, and it was kidnapped. And so they offered a reward of, I think it was like a lifetime of burger and shake and fries for whoever returned it, no questions asked. And so a group that called themselves the Maple Leaf Militia returned it in the parking lot with an apology note. So it did come back, and the sign got donated to Mohai, but then there was kind of this resurgence of the Burger Babe imagery, and there were some pageants held to be the next Burger Babe. So it just, I don't know, like kind of weird, like quirky local humor, but I love finding stuff like that when I'm looking into these places.
Well, this is what I'm talking about. I mean, you really only get that with some of those historic spaces. You don't hear about these kind of stories with these like statue buildings that get put up. And, one of the things that I think is also a huge loss is, unfortunately, a lot of the developers will just pay the fine for not actually occupying the commercial space that they build on the bottom, because it doesn't they don't want to build affordability into that space. You think about something of what, Office of Economic Development is doing to try to occupy some of these spaces, but oftentimes those buildings are not a part of that, right? So there's a lot to be said here in terms of my feelings about loss of all of this kind of eclectic cultural kind of community things that are going on. I didn't know anything about the Burger Babe, but as a young person, I mean, that was the spot to go. And you're talking about, I was like raised in the university district, like when my mom was going to UW. So that was the Kid Valley we would frequent, right? And so it's just one of those things where we used to have these debates about what is it Kid Valley or is it Burger Master? Yeah. We go back and forth because that was what we were around, you know what I mean, before we came back to the Central District. So I have fond memories of that particular location. And, I do know there's one in Coulon. So, Renton is probably the closest one to me now. But, the fact that we can still enjoy the food is great. It's just what a loss also too, because that specific one was historic in its own right. What's up next?
Yeah, so I like to, to balance out, the bum out stuff. I like to include some, more positive news, like on the not vanishing front, for example. So Central Saloon, which is in Pioneer Square, right down the street. Some really encouraging news there, and that they're going to be sticking around for much longer. So that building goes back to, I believe, 1892, and it's been called the Central Tavern or Central Saloon, Central something since I think 1907. And the building was put up for sale. But I think there was something in the lease which gave them kind of like a first chance at buying the building if they were able to. So the longtime owner, I think he's owned it for 30 something years, and his business partner were able to purchase it. And I think that the purchase price was like 2.75 million. And it's interesting because it's located in the Pioneer Square Historic Preservation District. The price is more attainable. I mean, not like 3 million is anything to sneeze at, but it's kind of lower than what it might have fetched if it were able to be zoned for very tall height or encouraging speculation by developers. That usually fetches like a higher sales price. So they were able to buy it, and they're basically going to keep it in community as a place to continue to support the local music scene. Very historic space. Had a seminal part in metal and grunge. Nirvana played their first, I think maybe their first Seattle show there, and was discovered by Sub Pop, then released their debut album. Bam Bam, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, just you name it, just like a very historic space, but is also accessible to new and upcoming and emerging bands. So it's just nice to see that continuity of people who have been the longtime stewards of the venue are going to be able to continue that on, because as we've seen places like Highway 99 Blues Club or other music venues around here, it's when they are displaced, oftentimes that means they just have to close altogether because it's so cost prohibitive and so hard to find a different space.
Yeah. These spaces, that's why they're so unique. And in my mind, I go that's another reason that they have to be preserved. So I love the unvanishing stories.
Mm-hmm.
I love those, right? Or not vanishing stories, because for me, that there's something so special about the resilience of, these business owners who understand, like, look, we were able to pull together a capital campaign, get the money we needed to stay here, to cement, the legacies that have been really born and bred here, which I just love, So I always love the balance. And I know we go, but you always bring us back up. I
appreciate some good news for once.
Yeah, we appreciate that. And it looks like you have another venue to share that's on the upswing.
Yeah. So this one I kind of put in the unvanished category, and it's the Benbow Room in West Seattle in the Admiral District. And it opened in, I think, 1950 as the Admiral Benbow Inn. And it's like this nautical themed restaurant, kind of like diner and bar. It had the same ownership under Nasa Longmire for over 50 years. But it was a place that became the clubhouse for the Seafair Pirates. Charlie Chong ran his city council campaign out of there. A lot of politicians hung out there. Also musicians and artists and just everyday people. It kind of turned into, there was like a stage added in the last round of owners, so they had a lot of bands come through. So it was kind of this interesting, like pirate, like punk dive bar. I think Mudhoney filmed a music video there. So it's like apparently it's also haunted by a ghost who turns the water on in the women's bathroom. Stiff drinks, very interesting decor, salty characters, just like a lot of interesting and rich stories that kind of just come with a place that's been around for so long, and just all these like layers of history. So yeah, it did close and went through a couple iterations. It was the Vidiot Arcade Bar for a couple years, and then recently reopened in July under the ownership of Brian Rossick and Mark Fuller, who also own some other kind of West Seattle bars and restaurants and institutions in the area, and just seems very interested in kind of maintaining these neighborhood landmarks. So they still have a lot of cool nautical themed stuff, pull tabs and nachos and hot dogs. And they've also, they've got kind of a cool like musical program too, where they bring in DJs for different days of the week, from soul to yacht rock. just you name it. So it's a cool space. I encourage folks to check it out. It's nice to see, again, like the continuity of this long time establishment for, future generations to enjoy.
That's what it takes though too sometimes, right? It's like people that have the resources and the means to understand the importance of these spaces to keep them thriving, right? The fact that, okay, it was gone, you went through these different iterations, but there was this longing for what once was, right? I love those kind of stories because honestly, they are a great reminder of why these spaces are so important and what we can do anytime we can do something to bring something back with full throttle, and allowing these spaces to continue and building community is so important. I always appreciate your connection to the ground. So much history too in all of these spaces that you share every time you come on. And I learned something, and it's a great thing for me because even as a born and bred here in Seattle, there's a lot I just don't know about some of these cool spaces. And sometimes you may frequent spaces and not understand the history of them. You know what it means to you, right? And like your friend group or your community, oh man, we go to this space. This has been the power hub for us, right? Those kind of things. But as spaces shut down, sometimes those memories get lost and wash away with it. Right. So I love that this space was able to come back full throttle. Yeah. And thank you always for all the spaces that you're sharing with us and for taking us, a little bit. We have to talk about what's vanishing because it's real. It's happening all over the city and really all over the nation. We're seeing this in so many other states, right? We're all kind of going through these similar things. But the fact that we also have this resilience to hold on to some of our spaces with that upswing, I appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Trae. Yeah, I just appreciate you, inviting me on to nerd out about this stuff. I mean, that's my favorite part too, is getting to learn about these places that are vanishing and still around. And there's just, like I said, so much rich history and layers. And so it's just, thank you for inviting me on so we can, share it with folks because there's a lot there.
That's right. We got to dive into these dives and all these other spaces. Like, and every time we end and we're like, where are we going? When are we going to go somewhere? But I'm always down. You got my number. We'll make it happen. Make sure you look right there and let folks know how they can find you.
Yeah, so feel free to hit me up at Vanishing Seattle on Instagram and Facebook. I get a lot of great information, tips, stories, pictures from y'all out there in the city and the community. I definitely welcome that. So yeah, just find me at Vanishing Seattle on the socials.
There it is. Vanishing Seattle in the building. Thank you so much for your work and for keeping us informed right here on The Day with Trae, so we don't miss out on some of these spaces that we can frequent either before they're closing or as they reopen. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Trae.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, you guys. It's always a great time when Cynthia Brothers is on the show. I learned so much. I'm sure y'all do too, because it's like, who knows all about this history? I get to check in with my girl every month to learn more. So I'm so glad that she was here. But you guys, guess what? I got a special surprise guest in the building after this short break. You guys do not want to miss this. Stay tuned, y'all. You're watching The Day with Trae.
Hey y'all, my name is Nicole Harvey and I proudly serve as the Director of Community and Family Engagement at Seattle Jazz Ed, and I'm here to let y'all know that we're getting to launch our fall programming the first week of October. So if you're a student or you know a student between the grades 4 through 12 that is interested in playing music, whether they're a beginner or they've been playing for a long time, we have saved a seat for you. For more information, please visit our website at www.seattlejazzed.org. All of our programs and classes are offered on a sliding scale tuition policy, which means that families get to choose what they pay, no questions asked. We also have free loaner instruments available for every student to use. If you have questions, you're welcome to contact us via email or by phone at programs@seattlejazzed.org or 206-324-5299.
Basically, fam, believe in giving. Like, we have to be willing to give more, and people seem to always think giving means money, but nah, bro. It's like you can give time, you can give understanding, you can give access, you can give a listening ear and an open heart. You can give and share your God-given gifts and talents, but you just got to give.
Oh, welcome back, everybody. Sorry, I'm just over here talking. Cuddy didn't let me know. No, it's all good. I'm not gonna blame the director, but you know what? My girl is in the building, y'all, and I'm so excited. I haven't been able to tap in with her for a while. T-Dub, art queen of Converge, is here. What up, T-Dub?
What up, Converge? What up, Trae?
I love when you just pop through. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, surprise guest, we got it. But you know what?
Absolutely.
I know you're coming with some updates. You got a lot going on.
Man, so much going on. I first want to say thank you to Cynthia and Vanishing Seattle for the work that they do. It's so important as people from Seattle that we take an active role in making sure that our history gets passed on in a way that feels fulfilling for us, like, because there's so much vanishing, there's so much that feels like it's being taken away. Like, being able to take an active role in that is super important. So shout out to Vanishing Seattle on that. But yes, I got a lot going on. I don't even know where to start.
Oh my goodness. We love when you come through, just like Cindy, bro. That's my girl. You come through and you give us a bunch of stuff that's going on that I don't know about either. What's going on?
Yeah, so I mean, as always, art is always happening in Seattle, and it is a great time for art in Seattle. I had the opportunity to tap in with my bro Barry Johnson. He actually just finished his residency at Amazon. He did an amazing show with the time that he had there. He made some super, super dope art, so I got to go check him out. I snuck in there in the last minute of his showing, got to see all the things that he's been working on. So shout out to Barry Johnson. And then last night, the guy, Moses' son, opened his show 21 Chambers at the J. Reinhardt Gallery, and you guys need to go see this show. I mean, this work is absolutely fantastic. Like, if you know anything about Moses' style, it's incredibly abstract, it's very detailed, but it's also very deep in the subject matter. Like, he really gives of himself in ways that you don't really see a lot of artists do. But he put together an amazing show. Again, it's at J. Reinhardt in Pioneer Square. It's open now, I think, through the month. So make sure that you find an opportunity to go tap in, because it is something that is not to be missed.
See, there we go. I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's so many great things going on in our city. And, I want to break down the misnomer that it's all happening in the summer.
Right.
I'm like, man, there's so many things going on all throughout the year. And when you really tap into the heartbeat of the city and the heartbeat of what we have going on, particularly here in Western Washington, we see that there is an explosion of creativity and culture that's thriving in our communities all the time. So I love hearing about this show.
Definitely,
oh my gosh.
Definitely.
T-Dub, what else you got?
Yeah. So, I mean, our walk was popping last night. I got an opportunity to see a few shows last night. And again, like you said, like, being able to tap into that culture and be like, hey, we're doing all right. We got some dope stuff happening here. I also got to tap in with Sis Tarika Waters at Martyr Sauce. She just put together a super dope, installation. Of course, she's got all the big pieces and the vibrancy and the color. So shouts out to Tarika on Martyr Sauce and all the things they have going on there. What else?
You know what? I love it, because this is, again, I learned so much. And as I'm like working to get back, I've just been kind of in my family shell recently,
of course,
but I'm telling you, I love knowing that there's things for me to get back into whenever I'm ready to tap in, right? And that's for all of us. I think as we go through different times in our lives, and we take different times for ourselves, because that's a big lesson for me.
Absolutely.
Right? But I love all of the things that are going on. And you know what? I love too that I could just get to call up my girl T-Dub or Cindy Bro and be like, what am I missing? Where do I need to go tonight? Like, that's a great thing, because you guys are so plugged into all the things. But I also see you're representing the Centennial shirt. You were clearly out there. I missed it all. Tell me about your experience.
Oh man, the Centennial was so great. And so, for you guys who don't know, I am a Garfield grad.
Woo-woo.
Most of the people in my family went to Garfield. So that's definitely like tradition for our family. But we celebrated 100 years. We finally got to celebrate 100 years of Garfield High School. It got canceled the last two because of COVID and, those protocols. But man, the folks, the GHS, the Bulldogs, the True Dogs, they really showed up this past weekend. It was such a beautiful event. So many speakers. I think Quincy Jones tapped in virtually. The mayor was there, the new principal, vice superintendent, previous principal Ted Howard. So it was like star-studded, you know what I mean? All the folks was there, every class from like 50 to now. Like, it was just a really, really beautiful culmination of that community, of the Garfield, the purple and white. And we really came to represent. And of course, I was also there doing double duty for the GSB. So the GSB, Garfield Superblock Project, had a table there, and we were letting the folks know, letting the community know about what's going on with the Garfield Superblock Project, which has also been, an incredible thing for me to be a part of.
It is so fascinating.
Yeah.
And you know what? I got my ear to the ground on that one. Being a part of the coalition has been really an amazing thing for me, because the one thing about development projects in any right, whether it's public space or private space or community space, you see it.
Yes.
When this is done, it's like, oh my gosh, all those weeks of, planning and meetings and showing up and visualizing it and working with architects to make it happen, working with you and the artist team. Like this is, when we see it, it's like, this is what we've been saying, community, that we're bringing out to the public.
Right.
I recently got to have that experience with the William Gross Center. They finally put the sign up right there. Oh my goodness. And I was with Dr. Mims, and we were passing by there, and I was like, oh my gosh, the sign is up.
I did the same thing.
Face. Yes. And just, it gave me so much life, T-Dub. It's this for me is, as we talk about spaces that are vanishing, as we think about the changing demographics of our city, the fact that we still have these efforts to keep culture and history and legacy alive.
Exactly.
Just like Garfield has done for so many of us. It represents something that can't be replaced.
Yes.
And so I love being able to think about new spaces that'll do just that in their own right. So I'm so glad you were able to pop in on us today on this first Friday of September. And you also, we've been showing it, the Black artists you should know. Just tell us a little bit about that before I let you go.
Of course. So as you know, we're in development for season 2 of Art of the Matter. So make sure you stay tuned in to Converge when that happens. But in the meantime, we're going to revisit some of the artists that we got to feature in season 1 through Black artists you should know. So we got a first week. We featured Moses' son, of course, and we got to tap in with him and let you guys know what's going on in his life since his episode. Obviously, the show 21 Chambers is the biggest thing up to date, but we'll be tapping in for the next 8 weeks with some of the artists that were featured on season 1. So we'll be doing a feature every Monday. So make sure you hit up Converge Media's website where we converge for that.
Oh, yeah. Man, there it is right there. You stay busy. I don't care. Hands in all the pots. Man, T-Dub, thank you so much for tapping in with me today. I want to make sure you give folks a chance. If they're not already tapped in with you, T-Dub, how do they do so?
Come on now. I'll be in the streets because we outside. Okay. But yes, definitely hit me up on Instagram at T-Dub Customs. You can also tap in with me on Instagram at Art of the Matter. You can also tap in with me on Instagram at The Resole 206. That's the biggest thing that I got going on with the art. People keep asking me, like, when's your next show? What are you going to do with the art? Like, that is my focus. I'm building a store, so that is my focus. So if you guys want to help out with that, definitely tap in with The Resole 206. Hit me up on Instagram. I'm always on there, and I'm always on Converge.
Yay, absolutely. T-Dub, thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. You guys, we got one more break for you, and after we come. What? Oh, I was making sure. Okay, we got one more break. We're going to come back and just do a quick recap after this. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae. Hey there, it's Trae Holiday. And of course, Besa and I had to take a trip back to Market Street Shoes to grab some items. They always know what to show us. And let me tell you, we both spent quality time to be sure we collected some amazing additions to our wardrobes. They have some of the most unique bags, shoes, and accessories. I mean, the whole shebang. It's always a good time when I get to shop with my girl Besa. Make sure you go check out Market Street Shoes, y'all, and you too can walk out with some dope gear. Welcome back, everybody, to The Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. And you guys saw it right there. Of course, coming up tomorrow night at 10 p.m., Weird at Night is on Converge Media. And I'm so excited. You guys have no idea how much fun it is to be a part of the cast of Weird at Night and be a part of the Wannaverse. Your girl, Trae Holiday, is there as the voice of truth in the Wannaverse. And I got to participate in this upcoming episode. I'm so excited because you guys guys, the storylines, the plots, they are so full of creativity and fun, fantastical weirdness. I absolutely enjoy working with all of them. I just want to give them a huge shout out for including me in the weirdness. I have been wanting to be a part of it, and now I really am fully a part of it and have been able to participate in several episodes. So make sure you guys check that out tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Of course, you guys can check out a couple more of us, Converge Crew at Pier Sounds, also happening tomorrow. You guys will find us right there on the pier. Friends of Waterfront being intentional to bring more and more culturally relevant events to the pier, opening it up for everybody. And if y'all want to check out the amazing, amazing talent that is Shayna Shepherd, y'all are going to want to be in the building tomorrow. I can't wait to be there with all of the community coming out and showing love for these amazing acts that we have right here in our city. If we don't show them love, who will? And of course, I got to give a huge shout out to my guest today, Miss Cynthia Brothers, my girl, and T-Dub, art queen of Converge, just popping in on us like that. I loved it. Y'all didn't know who was the surprise, but she came through, and I'm so glad because both of them are doing their jobs to see themselves as a part of the solution. The reason why I say this every day, y'all, is because it doesn't matter what it looks like. It can have whatever you love, whatever you think needs to happen is going to be helpful. Here it is. Cynthia said, look, all these spaces are closing. We need to be capturing this. And boom, Vanishing Seattle was born. And it has just exploded because so many of us are learning about these spaces through the Vanishing Seattle platform. T-Dub knew that she was an artist from a young age and has been dedicating her artistry to the city of Seattle and beyond. Not only doing these amazing art installations and collaborations with other artists, but also taking it to another level with the Resole 206. It's going to be our very own dry cleaner for sneakers, y'all. And that's our girl T-Dub, seeing herself as a part of the solution. So of course, y'all know, I want you to be inspired to see yourself as a part of the solution. Me being a part of the solution is bringing on dope folks like that on this show so that y'all can learn, and also we can tap into the brilliance that's happening in our community. Please do your part to see yourself as a part of the solution. And for me, until Monday at 11 a.m., peace. Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.